Greetings, Political Napalm viewers. It is the Political Napalm, and I'm here to talk to you today about how much you should be giving in to the Dow dip panic. If you're not exactly aware of what is going on today, August 5th of 2024, basically the stock market is having a very bad day. Not the worst day, and that's what we're going to talk about in this, but certainly not the greatest of days. Well, one Mr. Donald J. Trump has been going around trying to incite panic and use this to his campaign's advantage to say that a Biden/Harris/Democratic ticket for 2025 and beyond is going to be bad because the stock market will crash, there will be civil unrest, and we will give in to World War III. The amount of extrapolation into the crazy talk over here is absolutely outstanding. To talk about civil unrest and World War III simply because the stock market is having a bad day is patently ridiculous. And once again, another example of why Trump thinks his base is full of idiots. He thinks they will never do any research, never come across any statistics, just simply believe in the spoon-fed outrage and give into it lock, stock, and smocking barrel. The smocking is on purpose. If you know what I'm talking about, then you know. But let's actually get into the raw statistics of what is happening today. Let's take emotions and opinions out of the situation and simply talk raw stats. So first, we're going to go ahead and see some of what Trump has been posting today. Stock market's crashing. I told you so. Kamala doesn't have a clue. Biden is sound asleep. All caused by inept U.S. leadership. I want to remind everybody that one of the big tenets of his 2020 campaign is that Biden would be terrible for the economy. Yet that is not what has happened from 21 to the current day. People's investments are up way more than they were during Trump. This is not just anecdotal. This is something I know from my father's investments. These are something that I know from my own investments. We have dealt with inflation, but we have also dealt with a rather steep rise in stocks, bonds, etc. People's savings are up. 401ks are taking a bit of a hit today. The stock market has taken a bit of a hit today. But the overall from 21 to 24 average is everything under Biden is higher than it was under Trump in that regard. And yes, that includes 2020, which is COVID year. I'm going to give him a little bit of a pass on that because it was a global pandemic, not a United States issue, but a global issue. However, as much as you can maybe say for sake of certain discussions, let's throw away 2020 because 2020 to some degree would be the same no matter who was in there. You have to be reminded that how Donald Trump approached COVID and that particular year is probably miles different from if Hillary Clinton had won the nom in 2016 or if any other person was president in 2020 who allowed it to become political and such. So here's one of his doom and gloom posts for today. Here's another one. Numbers really bad. Major recession. A real possibility. Fox News. That was yesterday at 5:30 p.m. And then now the White House GOP official Twitter is out here. The stock market is imploding. A recession is on the horizon. The world stands at the brink of World War III. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden are MIA. What exactly do these people think Kamala Harris and Joe Biden are actually going to do for a stock market dip? Did Trump weather any one of these dips? And we're going to talk about that in just a moment. And reach into his pocket and pull out $1 million and just inject it into the stock market and fix it? No. The administration of the United States of America does not have the ability to create a one-day spike or somehow counter a one-day dip. These aren't long-range policy issues. This is a one-day Dow dip panic. So knowing how the sky is falling is a current narrative coming out of the right with all of these posts like this. Let us actually talk about the historic numbers and where Trump fits into this and where Biden fits into this. So this particular post here on Twitter has the exact same demographic that I'm going to show you guys in just a moment. This particular picture, these particular stats are based on percentages. These aren't the raw numbers in terms of a dip. These are the percentage dips. Reagan owns the number one. First of all, as you can see, most of these are Republican, except for two Franklin Delano Roosevelts, one Wilson, and one Clinton. Kind of a surprise to see Clinton here, considering how good he was on the economy. But even Clinton had a bad day back in 97. But as you can see, most of this is red. There are 16 Republican bad days in the top 20 and only 4 Democrat days. So in the top 20, we have Reagan, Trump in number 2, Hoover, Trump in number 5, Trump again down at number 13. Hoover, McKinley, Hoover, Teddy Roosevelt, Reagan, G.W. Bush, G.W. Bush, G.W. Bush, Hoover, G.W. Bush. Interesting. Not all Republican in the top 20, but 16 out of the top 20 are Republican. And we have many repeat offenders in Hoover, Trump, and George W. Bush. 2 repeat offenders from Democrats in Franklin Roosevelt. So these are just the percentage ones. If we were to talk about raw stat ones, actual raw numbers dropping, we'll get to that in a moment. Here's another doom and gloom post for Trump. Japan down 12%, India down 6%, Germany way down. Also, U.S. is really bad. Okay, sorry. His language gets to me sometimes. Germany way down also. U.S. really bad. This is a preview of the world markets without Donald J. Trump in the White House. No, it's not. Not even close. None of this happens if Trump is in. Absolute bullshit. Complete conjecture. No proof of that whatsoever. He said this in 2020 and it didn't happen. Kamala and the markets don't go together. She'll destroy the market. She's in power now. No, she's not. She's a vice president. Biden is in power. And look at what is happening. 1 week of the fake media saying better polls and you get a market crash. The legendary Howard Lutnick. 5:27 a.m. The dude is posting this before the market even opens at 5:27 a.m. Nothing about being positive to the U.S. It's all just using it as an attack on the other side of the aisle over here. And it's rife with so many lies and untruths. It's unthinkable that this occurs in somebody's brain and they put it down on paper. But Japan and India have nothing to do with Biden or Trump or Harris. None of that is true whatsoever. Now let's actually go and take a look at the raw stats on this. So this is the one that we've already talked about. I had it prepared myself, but of course found a tweet that had the exact same stats. In the top 20, three of them were owned by Trump. And yes, they were during the COVID time period. Although this one here on March 9th is very, very close to the beginning. Actually, they all are close to the beginning. But the biggest percentage drops in recent history, none of them belong to Biden. But 3 of them in the top 20 belong to Trump, including the number 2 and the number 5. So there's that statistic. Now let's talk about another important statistic over here. We got the same one twice. Yeah, hold on one second. This one over here. These are the actual numbers. It's not a percentage. It's just strictly the net change in raw numbers. In the top 20, Biden only has 2 in the top 10. He has the number 7 and he has the number 10. Today, August 5th, only ranks as number 12. So if you're giving into this panic, this Dow dip panic, based on one day simply because it is timely and occurring in the heart of an election cycle, you're not actually being faithful to the truth. Look at the top 6, all Trump during COVID. Biden's first entry is number 7, then a Trump COVID, then a Trump not COVID from 2018, 3 Bidens, 22, 22, today's in 2024, then a Trump not COVID, back to Trump COVID, Biden at 15, 16 through 19, or 17 through 19 is Trump during COVID, and then Biden again in 2022 for the number 20, and Biden again at 15 and 16. There you go. So out of the top 20, 13 occurred under Trump. 2 of them occurred when COVID was not in play. The only statistic that is in Trump's favor over here is that Trump's highest non-COVID one does not compete with Biden's highest one. Biden's highest one is at 7. Trump not under COVID is at 9. But you still have to take into account how the United States was handled during 2020 and all the things Trump could have done but didn't, and all the things that Trump allowed to happen. So even with COVID in play, today still ranks below Trump's number 1 when COVID wasn't in play in 2018. So giving into a one-day panic and believing the world is coming to an end, believing we're going to have civil unrest or World War III because Iran is threatening to attack Israel, which has nothing to do with us whatsoever. And I'm sure you can figure out which side the United States would weigh in on that one. Civil War, World War III, crashing economies, a prediction of a dire economy going forward in 2025 to 2029 is completely ridiculous. And if you are not doing this research into the stats and you're simply allowing yourself to believe that, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe you should actually do a little bit of research instead of being spoon-fed apocalyptic levels of doom and gloom in markets that have nothing to do with anything that Biden and Harris are doing on this day, when it's actually about the threat of Iran attacking Israel and some problems with the yen. So there you go, folks. Do not give in to the Dow dip panic for the day. Clearly, we will weather it as we weathered all the other ones on these 2 top 20 lists that we've seen, and understand Trump owns the majority of them in the entirety of the Biden administration and the Trump administration. We can see where the numbers lay and where the skew is. So hopefully you're a calm person who is not giving into the panic of the day, is not posting on social media, believing all of Trump's bullshit rhetoric and everything. Chill out, do your research, check these numbers for yourself, and you see it's nothing more than a flash in the pan. Thanks, everybody.